Hi everyone, Vinay here from Learn Coding with Vinay. Welcome back to my channel and playlist ASP.NET Core MVC. Now this is part 3 of the mini video series where we are building MVC application with unit test cases. Right. So in the previous part 2 video, we went over creating unit test cases for the service layer. In this video, we will go over creating unit test cases for the MVC controller. So let's begin. So let me close this, open the Visual Studio, and let me take you to the products controller. Here we have few methods, index, right? As of now, we are ignoring details. Then create get, create post. Similar way, we will have edit get, edit post. Then delete and delete post. And then we have the search method, search get and search post, basically. Right. So what we will be doing, we will be working on the unit test cases of this controller, basically products controller. So let's go to your MVC unit test project. We'll add one more folder called controller. So right click, add folder, and give it a name controller. To controllers. Right. Now in the same folder, we will start adding our unit test case class. So basically idea over here is to, in the service folder, we created test cases for the services, and in the controllers folder we will create test cases for the MVC controller, basically just for the logical grouping. This depends on the project structure you are following. So let's go ahead and right click, add class, give it a name products controller test. Yes, say enter. Make this class as public, and let's add our first test case, which will be for our index method. So basically if we go to product controller of web application, in index method what we are doing, we are calling get all async service product service method, and we are returning it to the view, right? So for that we will write the test case. So let's go ahead and add one test case for the same. I'll just copy paste it, the name I already have, and let's say save it. Okay, so this is the test case, says index returns view with products, right? So always give, try to give test case names so that you know what test case you are writing over there, right? So follow that naming convention based on your project. Now in the service layer section, when we created test cases for the service, let me open that, right? What we were doing, we were, again, remember the AAA, arrange, act, and assert. In the arrange section, we were creating mock objects for the application DB context class, and we were adding dummy values in the product table, right? Similar way we will do the same thing for the controller testing also, but here we will have the mock or dummy object for the product service, right? Because we will be, because if we go to product controller, what it is using to get data, it is using product service, right? So we will have to mock our product service, return some data, and then use it. So that's why we will have to plan it out. So first thing we want to do is to, let's, as a part of arrange, let's go ahead and let me put down this code, and then I'll explain. Let's resolve the namespaces. So you one is using mock, this one is using dot service, and this one would be dot models. Products controller, let's say web project dot controllers. Okay, so this is good. So what we are doing, we are creating a a dummy object for our service, and we are giving it a name mock service, right? Because we our product index method uses a service to collect to grab the data, right? And we now once we create this service object, we are supposed to add some data. Basically, we want to make the service in such a way that it returns us the data, right? So that get all async method should return us something, right? So what we are doing, we are adding just one product as of now in it, so that when so that it can be used by the view, right? And then we are creating the object of controller. In the service part, we are creating the object of service. Now the next part comes as the act. In the act section, what we are supposed to do, we are supposed to call the method, right? The method we want to test here. What do we want to test? We want to test the index method of the controller. So what we are going to do, controller dot index method. So at this moment the method will be called, right? Now the last, which is assert. In the assert section, what we will be doing, we will have the code to validate whether the functionality is working fine or not, right? So basically validation checks, that's what we will be doing in the assert section. So what we are doing over here, the result type of the type of this result should be a view result, right? Because our index method returns the view. If I go out over here and if we see this, it returns the view, right? Then we are checking that view result should not be null. Why? Because view result dot model should not be null, because in if you go to index method, what we are doing, this is a view and it has a model which is list of product, right? We are doing the same thing. Once we have the view, we are adding it to the we are passing it the model, so the model should not be null, right? Because we have already added one data over here, right? So it says it should not be null. So this is actually one verification, this is second verification, and this is the third verification that says okay, model has something. Now what does model have? So model have list of products, and that list of products should have now count one. Why? Because we have already added only one product over here. Now save this and run it. So go to test explorer and let it bring all the test cases. We should have test cases for services also listed over there. Let's wait for a while. Let me expand this, right? So we already tested all this, so we are not going to touch this my test.service section. We are not going to touch this time. We will go over here, products controller. In that we have our test case ready, right? So let's right click on it and run it, or maybe we can use any run from here. Run. Let's wait and watch. So our test case ran successfully, right? So this is working fine. Now next we will move to the we will ignore the details because it will be similar case like index only. So I'm not working on the test case for that. Let's move to the create get and create post method. So let me close this service, actually service test cases, and over here now, just like we had the common code for service layer, also you will also see code up to here quite common, and only the assertion condition will change, right? So let me bring the code to test create get method. So here we have the same as a part of arrange. What we are creating, we are creating a mock service layer. We are creating a dummy controller. In the act, we are calling that method controller dot create. And since in create, usually what happens, we are presenting user with a blank view, right? So here we will only check whether uh, the type of this result is of of view result or not. Basically it's view or not, right? Because we have nothing to display over there initially when the blank form is loaded, right? And now let me go ahead and copy paste the create post as well. Again, what we are doing, same thing. We are creating the mock service object, we are creating the controller object, we are having one new product, right? And we are calling that controller with the controller create method by passing that product. Why? Because products controller post method will require product as input, right? So that's what we are doing over here. We created one new object, we passed it to the create, and then in the asset we are checking that. Let me go back again into the controllers method. So upon successful adding of a product, we are actually redirecting it to the index page again, right, where the all products are listed. So what we are checking over here, results should be of type redirect to action, right? So basically, once this entire method is executed, the result type of this is redirect to action method, right, on a successful instance, right? And then which method it is going to be redirect on, it is going to be redirect on index. That's what this is saying. And add async, if everything is right, check out the test case name, create post valid model redirects to index, right? So the model is valid, everything is good, basically positive scenario, right? If everything is good, then it should add the product and redirect it to the index page. And this add async method should be called once only, right? Basically times dot once is the frequency where we are determining that okay, add async method was called once. We can have variation over here as a, and that example we will have once we move ahead, right? So let me save this. Quite simple. Again, you can pause the video and check out these two piece of code. Get returns view, which is create get method, and create post method, which is if there is a valid model, right? So let's go ahead and test these two test cases. Go to test explorer. Again, we have this marked as grade that indicates that these two were not tested earlier. So let me go ahead and run this. So all these three test cases will be run at this time. So let's wait for a while. So all the test case have ran successfully. So this is good, right? Now let's go ahead and move towards the edit get and edit post methods. Right. So sorry, before that, let's have an example of invalid model also. So let's say for create post, if there is something wrong with the model, and then what will happen, right? So take a look at the name, create post invalid model returns view, right? So let's say what happens when the model is not valid, right? So if model is valid, then it is adding product to the database and redirecting us again back to the index method. But if the model is not valid, then what is happening? Then it is simply returning the view with the product, right? So what we are going to do again, mock service controller, model state dot add error. So we are forcefully adding an error into the controller's model state, right? Where product is a new product, this can be anything, right? Basically we are keeping it blank so that it generates error. And then act controller dot create product. Then the assertion, in the validation we are checking the return type should be view result. Obviously it should be view. This probably would be the code everywhere we will find when we are working with the controller, right? But over here, mock service dot verify, what we are checking, service add async method should never be called. This time it is times dot never. Remember, on the successful run it was times dot once. On the invalid, with the invalid model, the add async method should never be called, right? Ideally user will be presented with some error messages on the view saying that okay, you correct these errors and save it later, right? So this is the same thing. So let me save this. Let's go and run this. Go to test explorer and we'll run only this test case at this time, right? So let's say run. So this test case has also ran successfully, invalid model, right? So basically you can have test cases positive and negative, that covers actually your both scenarios, right? Now let's move ahead with the edit get and edit post method. So let me go ahead and add some space over here. Let me just copy paste the edit test case I already have, right? So what we are doing now, edit get valid id returns with view product, right? So if we go to edit get method, what do we have it over there, right? So edit get method will require one product id. Based on that id it will retrieve the product details. If if there is a product, then it will presented with a view with product details displaying. If there is no product, then it says that no, basically not found, product is not found, right? It returns not found. And so we'll mimic the same over here using test cases. So what we are supposed to do, again we are making the mock service. In the service method we are creating this method get by id async, and we are forcefully having one product hard codedly, right? Because we are not using database over here, also we are using in memory only, right? We are declaring controller, and after that we have act. In the act we are using, again we are calling the controller dot edit method with the id that we wanna have a details of for, right? So here, since we have created the dummy object of product which has this detail with id number 1, we'll have to pass this one as a input parameter to edit get method. Right now in the assert, what we are supposed to do first, again this it will be the return type will be always should be view result, right? Then if there is a product, then it should not be null, which is over here, right? And if there is a product already there, then we can check any its property, right? Maybe price, name, category. Over here I have checked just one, that if there is a product, if there is a view, if that view has a model, and if that model has something, then that something dot some property should be something, right? That's what we are doing, right? This is dot name dot should, and that this line depends on the model you are working with, right? So let's go ahead and no, let's not run this actually, and let's have the post method also, and not just post method, so this is a positive scenario. Let's have the negative scenario where it returns none, right? Where there is no product or something. So let's say copy paste, let me copy paste, edit get invalid id returns not found, right? So here we are again creating a mock object of service, then we are making it return a product that says 999. We have not added any product over here. You don't see we are missing this code, and we are not adding any product into the this service object. So basically we are making a service that has a method called get by id async, and that is going to return us a product with 999 id, but we don't have that product at all because we haven't added it, right? Then we are declaring the controller. Then in the act, we are calling the controller.edit method with the same ID 9999. So 999 right? And then in the assert validation, what we are checking, the result should be not found result, right? Because since we don't have added this hard codedly over here, something like this, we don't have code something like this over here. This is going to return us not found result, right? So negative test case will also be covered, right? Now let's add the positive. If everything is all right, right, then user can submit the result, submit the data, and have the edit post method, right? And again edit post method will always again be redirecting us to the index page itself, right? So this is our edit post method. On all successful run, it is redirecting us to the index page, right? So let's go ahead and build test case for that. So what we are doing, in the errand section we are creating a mock service object. We are mocking the controller. We are having one product, right? And then in the act we are calling controller.edit with product id and product, right? So we are basically passing this id and the entire product, right? And then in the asset section we are checking it should be of type of redirect to action on the successful, right? And if there is a result, and the result is a view, result is of view type, and the method is index, then we are checking that it is redirect us to the index method, right? And then mock service dot verify. So basically here we are checking if everything is okay, then update async method should be called at least once, one, right? Because everything is fine, then the edit post should work, right? So let me save this, and let's test these three actually. Go to test explorer, and let me, I hope I can select this. Yeah, okay, three, and go ahead and run. So again these three test cases have ran successfully, so this is good. Now let's have the negative scenario over here also, that if model is invalid, right? If for edit, for any reason, while editing data, user might have mistaken and remove some data, or maybe something is invalid in the screen, right? So what we are supposed to do, edit post invalid model returns you. So if you go to product controller, what is happening, if model state is valid, then it is going inside the if statement, and it is saving it into the database. But if it is not valid, let's say model is not valid, then it is again returning the view with the past product. And so we'll have to do similar thing over here also. So again, mock and controller, these are the same thing. We are not same thing everywhere, we will see it. Here we are introducing error forcefully, that okay, there is an error over here, and then we are calling the method controller.edit with id and product. But since we have not, let's say, assume that user has removed the name from the front end, right? So there should be error related to name property, because name is actually a mandatory field, right? So in the asset, what we'll be doing, again, type will be result, view result. And on the verify, we are saying if there is an error in the model state, then the update method is not supposed to be called, right? So here we are telling that verify whether this method is called or not, and we are telling it that it should never call, it should be never called, right? Here times dot never, right? So this should never be called. So let's go ahead and again test this one. Let's test this one guy only this time. So this one, right? Run. So edit post invalid model also has ran successfully. So let me close this, and let's move ahead now with the delete test cases. And so let me go ahead and show you first the delete controller method. So we have delete get and delete post. So this is delete get, where we are actually displaying the details of products and having a button says that okay, are you sure you want to delete this, right? So this is one controller method. And then this is confirm delete confirm, basically is another method that actually deletes the product data, right? So let's go ahead and implement this. So let me just copy paste the code I have, and I'll walk you through, right? So here is the first method, delete get valid id returns view with product, right? So if there is everything good, we are onto the delete method. Also we have also passed the valid id over here, right? Then it should display the result on the view. So basically on the from the view side, there should be a view result. Again, it should not be null. And if that view has a model, that model should have some value. So basically here we are checking model name should be Pepsi. We can check any properties over here, right? But here only I have checked only one property. So this is a valid id scenario, right? Now let's move to the next that says delete get invalid id returns not found. Now let's say for any reason, we have selected a method, we have selected a product, and we are landing into the delete get method. And from there, while posting, for any reason, someone changes the id, right, which does not exist in the database at all. Then what should happen, it should give us the result not found result, right? So this is that negative scenario, right? Because usually MVC, if those IDs are passed in the URL, right? So and one can go ahead and manually change URL also. There are ways to restrict it actually, but considering the standard scenario, right? Now the next one is delete confirmed, valid id redirects to index. So what will happen on delete, let's go to products controller and delete confirm. So if there is an id, if there is a product, then what it is doing, it is going ahead and deleting the product and redirecting it to the index method, right? So that's what we are doing. Again, mock service, we are adding this one product, we are making that get by id as in method return one product that is with id 1, and some other details I have skip it. We can have all the details also over here, right? Then over here we are calling the delete method with id 1, and because delete confirm will have id as an input parameter, right? We are doing the same over here, right? And then we are checking that the return type is of redirect to action result, right? Because that's what the last statement of the delete confirm method is, right? And this should be called once, right? On the success scenario it should call 1. So this time mock service dot verify x dot delete async with id 1 times dot 1. So basically if everything is good, at least delete service delete method should call 1, that will actually delete the product. So let me save this. Again, you can pause this video and check out the code. Quite simple. I'm going little fast over here because things are getting repetitive over here, right? The only things we are changing is the assertions, right? Assertion conditions. Right? So let's go ahead and test this delete test cases. So let me select these three. Just right click and run. So the delete test cases have also run successfully. Now let's work on the final piece, which is test cases for the search. So let me go ahead and bring the search method. So we have search get method and we have search HTTP post method. Right. So let me go ahead and bring test cases for it for search, and I'll explain it later. So let me just bring it over here. Control V. Okay. So let's begin with the search get. So what we are doing in the search get, let's see first of all what we are doing in the search get. We are loading a blank form that will have some filter on top, right? Nothing fancy. So what we are doing over here in the errand section, we are again declaring the service and controller, quite similar. In the act we are going to call the search. So this piece of code will be same for another few search test cases. The only thing will change it over here is the assertion, right? So here we are checking whether the return type of that method is view result or not. So in this case for HTTP get, we are just displaying user with the search form. So this is good, right? And then the next one says search post valid filters returns matching products, right? So user have consider the user have selected some values and press the search button. So we are mimicking that in these test cases. So we have the service over here. In this service we have the method called search async and we are making it return one product, that is this one, right? And we are passing the parameter as Pepsi 20 and 100. So basically this is a name or category, this is minimum price and this is maximum price, right? So ideally this falls this parameter, and this product falls under this. There can be other product also, but as of now I have kept only one. Then we are declaring the controller. Then we have declared the VM. Now this VM is actually, if you remember in the previous our MVC section, MVC video, right? Here we have created the product search VM where we have declared certain properties for searching the product. So that is search text, mean price, max price, has search and products, right? Basically results. Right. So we are declaring that we are passing those values into it, right? Because search post if we go to search post, that requires this guy, right? So again in the act section we are calling that search method. In the assert section again we are checking whether it is of type of the method is a view result or not, right? First thing. Then we are retrieving that result and we are checking if that view result has a model or not, right? If it has model then it should not be null, right? It should not be null. Then has such, okay, has such is okay, this can actually ignored because this property was used to indicate whether the search button was clicked or not. Over here actually it is not required, but I have still written it. Now models dot product should have count 1, right? So when there is a search that results in one product, right? So basically view result will have model, right? So view result is not null first of all. Then model has some value, at least one product, so model is also not null, that is also one test case. Then products, since model have products and products has one product, right? Products model has one product, so basically product should also be not null, or it should have some value. Basically if the result says there are two values, we can compare it with 2. If there is one value we can compare it with 1. So here I have kept it 1 because only while adding the dummy data we have only added 1, right? So it has one value, have count products should have count 1, right? Now if you notice over here, now they have this assertion has been improved very nicely, that it sounds like a plain English statement, right? That model product should have count one, something like that, right? Now the last one is to verify, right? If everything is good, filters were provided, there is no error on the form, then at least search method should have been called once, right? So this is what it is. Now the next one, search post not matching products returns empty list. So basically, again, we are declaring the mock service, we are creating the controller, we are creating the product. In the search VM, we are passing the VM model, right? And basically, we are actually creating a over here. We are making the search result return nothing. We haven't added any product over here, just like we added over here, right? So service has nothing, and then we are trying to search chocolate out of it, right? A product with the name chocolate, right? So ultimately what will happen, it will return the view result, but it will be null. So the model will also be null, right? And the product should be empty. So basically, model should be null, and in the model there is a list of product which should be empty. And so this is what we are doing over here. So quite easy, writing test cases. If you follow this arrange, act, and assert, then most of the code will be common in many of the test cases. Only the assertion logic will change, right? So key will be this guy, assertion, right? So let's this time go out and run everything. So go to test explorer, and we will run every test cases from this product controller test. Let's run it and wait and watch. So all the test case has run successfully. Look at this search. Basically 25 test cases, all 25 were a success, right? So with this, we are ending this video as well as the video series also, right? And the video series is all about creating an MVC application and creating unit test cases for the service layer and controller both. So I hope you enjoy this video. I hope to see you in some other video. Till then, goodbye and thanks for watching. Thanks a lot, guys.